Hi everyone, so the other day I was doing a speed test with two bows and I realized something was very interesting with the spring and autumn bamboo bow. So in today's test, I want to see how the behavior changes when we change different poundages. So over here, I have 5 spring and autumn bamboo bows. And 2 of them will be spring and autumn 2, 3 of them are spring and autumn 1. In terms of the arrow that I'll be using, both of these are almost identical. They are nocks identical. Feathers are just a bit different in color. The weight is different. The length is the same. The weight is different. So this one here, the orange one, is 600 spine, 363.3 grains. This one here is a 500 spine, 414 grains. So there is a difference in weight. So I'll see if different weight affects the bow, because the last time I did it, different weight doesn't seem to change the speed very much. So maybe, just theoretically, I think that the poundage of the bow was too low. So it was bounded by its own weight, physical weight. The mass of its limb is limiting its speed, and therefore a longer power stroke gives it more speed, but dropping the weight of the arrow doesn't do much. It gains a very tiny bit of speed, but really not much. So as the poundage increase, it should exceed the threshold of this the performance where the limbs was bounded. I mean the performance was bounded by the limb weight. So as the poundage increase, we should see that the difference in speed should increase. So I'm just gonna read you some of the poundages that I have for today. Spring and autumn 1, 3 of them. One is 30 pound at the full draw, 39 pound at full draw, and 41 pound at full draw. Spring and autumn 2, 2 units. One is 36 pound at my full draw, and the other one is 42 pounds at my full draw. Now, what is the full draw I was talking about? So in this test, I'm not doing 30 plus inch, I'm not doing 28 inch. It's just for my own convenience. I'll be drawing such that I will touch the rounded part of this arrow. Both of these arrows are the same length, so I just touch the rounded part of this arrow, and you will see that the tape currently corresponds. I'm not sure if you can see the tape very clearly. There's a tape here that corresponds to the back of the bow. Alright, so the tape will be removed after this, but just to illustrate to you that this is where I measured my full draw length, from this position to the groove of the nock. That will be 29.375, and that's just because that's the length of this arrow, and for my own safety and convenience, I'm not going to draw past this point. So once I feel this rounded part, I'm going to stop drawing and shooting. In terms of the poundage of the bow, it was measured such that this is below the arrow, like this, and I pull it back until it meets that point, and I read the weight. So this prevents a situation where some people, for example, just now I said the length is 29.375 inch. Some people, they measure it such that they do not have this arrow on, and they'll pull it exactly 29.375 inch. But this actually is a problem, because when you actually draw the bow, with the arrow on, this will form an angle here, and it's actually pulling behind the arrow. Alright, it's pulling behind the arrow, similar to our thumb pulling back the string it is behind the arrow, so it is a more accurate way. If you measure without the arrow, you're pulling less poundage than you actually thought. Alright, so first, forgive the noise in the background because there's renovation work nearby. So for the consistency's sake, all the bowls are currently kept indoor in air-conditioned room so that their poundage do not drop as I was testing as well, because it's going to take time. Secondly, all the brace head has been adjusted to be almost as close as possible. All of them are approximately 6.25 inch, just to make sure that we have about the same power stroke. Alright, so I'm gonna first test with this unit here. Spring and Autumn 1 30 pound at full drop with the lighter arrow, which will give me 12.11 grain per pound. This one is 30 pounds, 13.8 grain per pound. This one here is a Spring and Autumn 1, 39 pounds, and I'll be shipping 9.32 grain per pound. $10.62 grain per pound. Spring and Autumn 1, 41 pound, 8.86 grain per pound. $10.06 grains per pound. Spring and Autumn 2, 36 pounds, 10.09 grains per pound. $11.5 grains per pound. Spring and Autumn 2, 42 pounds, 8.65 grains per pound. $9.86 grains per pound. So I've written down the results on the whiteboard, and these two are the specifications of the arrows in case you want to know. And this is the theoretical speed gain that you should see if there is no loss of any efficiency. However, in reality, when we go with a lighter arrow, we won't actually get the entire 6.75% in speed, and that's because with the lower weight, lower grain per pound, you actually lose a little bit of efficiency. So that's the draw length. And now let's look at the result. Now we don't really have to talk about this or this. You can look at it if you want. I'm gonna stop here for a moment for you. Okay. So from the heavier arrow to the lighter arrow, we see a speed gain here. This is the percentage difference for all of this, and we calculated that the average is that, which is just a little bit under this, within the expectation. However, there is something that didn't work out to my hypothesis, which is initially I thought that the grain per pound will not matter, and it shouldn't show much speed difference here, at least on the previous test, with the lower poundage. There wasn't much difference here. However, in today's test, we can see that they pretty much all made a difference. So what's going on? I think, um, which I did something in this experiment. I think it's the temperature, the environment temperature. It was too hot on the day when I tested the other bowl. So that's why in this test, I put the bowls in air-conditioned room while I test them in turn, so that so that the bowl do not lose its speed due to heat, do not lose its poundage due to heat. I think that's what happened in the previous test. So in this test, bowl temperature has been better controlled, and we see a much better and normal result.